Hi, it's Lisa. I am here just right at the beginning of fall, and I wanted to go back to the beginning of summer and kind of bring things full circle. I gave you a challenge at the beginning of the summer to pick out 5 things out of your stash that you would like to use this summer. And I wanted to kind of share with you what I had done. I showed you at the beginning of the summer a video with a whole bunch of stuff out of my stash that I wanted to use, and then I got down to 5 things that I really wanted to make sure that I worked into my projects. So I want to share with you those 5 things and how I used them, and some of the other things that how I used, and then there's a few things that didn't get used, so we'll talk about those as well. Out of all the stuff in my stash, the 5 things that I picked that I wanted to be sure to use were some papers from the Pier, which is from Crepe Paper, a stamp set from Stampin' Up! Called the Enjoy stamp set, this stamp set from My Mind's Eye, some wooden ATC cards from Prima, and a whole bunch of raw chipboard. From most of it's basic gray, some of it is Stampin' Up! I did a really good job with the raw chipboard. I used it a ton on my videos at the beginning of the summer, you may recall, and I'll show you some samples of that. And I did use all these other things except this stamp set. I kind of fell down on the job. I can see that I have used this, I Love You Today, Tomorrow, Forever, but I kind of don't remember what I used it on. So I'm not positive I used it during the summer. I think I did. So maybe will give me credit for that one. I didn't use the other stamps though. So this one is still one that I need to use. Now, one of the ways that I did encourage myself to use some of these things was to create a box and put some samples of things like this flare and the stick pins and clouds and these stamps from Lawn Fawn, and that really helped because it really put them at hand, or in my mind, without bringing out every little bit of flare or every pack of stick pins or whatever. I had a few there, and that reminded me that I had those, and I used quite a bit of flare this summer, or quite a bit for me anyway. So let's look at some of the projects that I did. These have been in video, most of them have been in videos. But I'll share with you kind of sort of wrap things up for the summer as to what I used, and then a few things that I didn't. There was a stencil that I had just gotten new from Hobby Lobby, and I've used it a lot. And one of the things I did was this notebook cover, and I did a video on that with using that. This Enjoy stamp set that I created, one of my favorite layouts of the summer, which is a few folks being caught eating ice cream. Now, granted, you could catch me eating ice cream most any day if you came around here at the right time, but I had my camera at the right time and I caught them eating ice cream. I used some really cute papers to go with that, but mainly I used this Enjoy stamp set. I used the this design that worked with this. I didn't even know it matched up my scallop punch until I started to do that for the top of the ice cream cone, and then I worked in some stick pins. I was going to put enamel dots on here, and I felt like I had enough stuff, but anyway, a really cute page that came out of that. The wood veneer pieces, I didn't use as many of them as I wanted, but I got them on this layout about going to the beach, and we still have not gotten to the beach, even though summer is over. I swear, if I have to be out on the beach in a in a thick sweater on Christmas Day, I'm going to get there sometime before the end of this year. But anyway, I did get to use these and make what I thought was a really pretty page. Worked in some flare, some of the clouds. Those were one of the things that were in my video, that I had gotten some new clouds. And I got in some chipboard pieces from Maya Road that were in this little tiny pack that were hard to figure out what letters you had, and I used a whole bunch of them, and what was left of them I put in a box of extra chipboard. So I was really pleased with how that layout worked out. Some of these stamps from Lawn Fawn, these border stamps, I used some on this 2-pager where I created the border, and these particular chipboard elements were not ones that I picked out, but they're really old ones, and I got to work those in to this layout as well. This is a recent layout that I did, and I don't think it has some flair. The other things in it, like this doily, was not one of the things that was in my video, but it's something I've had in my stash for a long time, so I was really tickled to get to use that. As far as this chipboard, as I say, I used it a lot. What I didn't use, still, some of it's still piled up here, but there were at least 2 different kinds that I took and broke down and took out all the extra letters that I still had left and put them in this box with all this other chipboard. There's one of those that's still left, and look, it has almost all the letters of the alphabet. I think this would be really cool on a scrapbook page by itself, so I'm saving this one. But the rest of them, I broke them down, and what I did with the leftovers is I've used them on my jelly plate. Pressed them down on the jelly plate, and they make really great designs. But I still have some that have quite a few letters, so I have decreased the amount of chipboard stuff, but I haven't gotten rid of it. But I'm pleased that I got some of it gone. Now, one of the other layouts that I did that I used some of the stuff was this one, where I used some of those clouds and some wood veneer pieces. And there was a pack of paper from My Mind's Eye. It was a 6x6 pad called Jubilee. I have used that, and one of the things I used it on is a brand new layout that you haven't seen. I'm going to give you a really fast sneak peek of it. It is part of my next class. So normally it would only be seen in class, but I'm just going to wave it right under the camera right quick, and we're going to be doing a class on using the silhouette to cut titles and do all kinds of neat things with the titles, but that Jubilee paper was used on that layout. And this Pier paper that I had here, I used it for two things. I used it for a layout where I did 4 pieces of the neutrals on the background, and then I also did a little mini album. I used the Pier and Pebbles Lakeside collection to create this little mini that I used for documenting stuff about our trip that we made to visit family this summer. So I did a video on how to do that, and it was really, it made a really fast album. So that was how I used that 6x6 paper. So I used several of the things in my collection. However, you can see I still have to put a new picture in there. However, there are some things that I didn't use that I still want to put out here and use. I've got still a little bit of chipboard, this 1 1/4 inch punch. I still don't know what to use grunge board for, because I still haven't watched the video on how to use it or do anything with it, but one of these days I'm going to do something with this grunge board. And then this paper Public Library from October Afternoon is one that I would like to get some more use out of. So I just thought I would recap and show you a few of the projects where I utilized the things that were in my little box and kind of laying over here to the side. There were some stamps that I used that I did put in my art journal, and I just recently did a video where I showed all the pages of the art journal. I got some of those stamps in there and some stencils and stuff in there. So so quite a few things got used, and it was helpful to have some of them out and to kind of work through the stash. And I really have not bought a lot of stuff this summer. I've really used my stash. You've been seeing me doing some art journaling. I'll continue to do some videos, I think, on that. I am doing a lot of scrapbooking for my next class, but I will continue to do some scrapbook layouts as the year goes on. You may not see quite as many of them until I get that class put together in the next few weeks, but they're going to be there, and so stay tuned to the channel and look for some new projects coming along, and maybe I'll get some of these last few things worked in. How did the challenge go for you? Did you pick out 5 things, and did you get to use them? So leave me a comment, let me know. Thanks, bye.